we did not have a hold up in any single one of our accounts. And I suspect if you talk to most builders, that rarely happens. So because the estimation was relatively accurate, the builders were good and their estimation was accurate, and everyone was kept on track, it kept everyone within budget and it kept everyone on the straight and narrow, and it got it done on time. No one was fighting or shouting for money, and Northwind provided their services smoothly and efficiently whenever we required it. My name is Deepak Haikerwal. I'm the Director of Heartwest Cardiology. We're the largest provider of ambulatory cardiology service in the western suburbs of Melbourne, a suburb which supports nearly over 1 million people. We have 5 main centres, 4 currently going, which is at Hoppers Crossing, St Albans, Williamstown and Essendon. We're just developing a new one at Coorparoo. The Hoppers Crossing venture has been our biggest venture and project to date. It allowed us to move from an old dwelling house to a made-for-purpose 3-storey, state-of-the-art development. It's a very exciting venture for us. It's allowed us to expand our business. It's allowed us to provide more services to the community. Not only more cardiology services, but other doctors, such as other physicians. And most importantly and excitedly, we've also managed to set up a research centre on our 3rd floor, which allows us to bring out expertise from around Australia and around the world to come and do research out in the west of Melbourne. This has not been done before. So we've been at Hoppers Crossing for over 20 years, and we were on Derrimut Road at that time. We're opposite the shopping centre, and it was a good spot. Generally with medical centres you have 2 options. You can be near the hospital or away from the hospital. And we elected to be away from the hospital and closer to the population. So that's the reason we didn't go towards the Werribee Mercy Hospital and St Vincent's private site. It was too crowded, it was too medicalised, and we wanted to be away from that. We wanted to be our own brand, we wanted to be identifiable. In terms of where to have it then, once we decided we're at Hoppers Crossing, it's an area of need, and before we came here 20 years ago, there was barely cardiology services. You'd have a cardiologist who might come once a week or once a month to see patients and then go. And they provided a service, but it wasn't much of a service. So we became the first cardiology group that came and was here giving a 5-day a week, a 52-week service. Then in terms of where in Hoppers Crossing to actually locate, we were on Derrimut Road, so we wanted to be fairly close to that area. We already had an established area. So we chose Heaths Road because it's a part of the Wyndham Activity Centre, and what they want to do is to develop this into a more of an activity area and less residential. And I found the property. I waited for it to come on the market. I found it, located it, and with my partners, we agreed it was appropriate. We purchased it, and then we developed it. Initially, you asked us whether we're going to be 2-storey or 3-storey. It was going to be 2-storey. When we decided we wanted to put a research, we decided to go 3 stories. And we asked. My architect was not confident we would get it, but when we put it in, because we had a good design and it wasn't bearing to the rest of the area, it fit in nicely, it worked out very nicely. And that's why we did a 3rd story. With a builder, we were lucky. We had great builders and we were able to work really well with them. And that made life a lot easier. So we were on a cost plus basis we did our project, and by having the builders working with us and closely to us, we could make quick changes on the run without it costing us an arm and a leg. And we had builders who came up with good ideas. The council was supportive, but they took their time, and most of our consultants were okay. And the architect made a good design. What we found is that you really need someone who's on the ball all the time to make sure that all the permits are on time, that all the permits are appropriate, and that we don't get held up anywhere. And unfortunately we did get a hold up, and that was because there was a downfall in communication between some of the consultants. We overcame that and we managed to finish our project. Unfortunately it cost us more. Because we were on a cost plus basis, the variation wasn't as much as it may have been if it was a fixed contract. The problem with the cost plus, of course, is getting that through the banks. And so we still needed to have a number to the bank that could say that this is what we needed, what we expected it would cost us. And thankfully we were fairly close to that. But part of the importance in getting that number right wasn't just what the builder estimated, because we did pass it through a QS. And in this occasion, we used Harry to do that. And Harry and his team had a look at the numbers, and they advised us that what the builder was saying was similar to what they would expect, and therefore we were able to present this to the bank. The bank accepted that as the contract price, and then we moved along from there. So for us, doing it cost plus was important to have a good builder with a good estimation, but also to marry that up with a good QS who had also a good estimation. And it was really quite good that most of the numbers seemed to be fairly similar all the way through. Working with Northwind quantity surveyors with Harry and his team was a very smooth process, and it also very helpful. And the banks accepted and what was important for us is that it did not hold up the bank's payment for us to the builders. So the builders would provide their invoice to Northwind. Northwind would analyse it. They would provide a report. They would say whether that was in variance or not with the project estimation. They would then provide that back to us. If we all agreed, we then send that on to the bank, and when the bank agreed, they paid it. We did not have a hold up in any single one of our accounts. And I suspect if you talk to most builders, that really happens. So because the estimation was relatively accurate, the builders were good and their estimation was accurate, and everyone was kept on track, it kept everyone within budget, and it kept everyone on the straight and narrow, and it got it done on time. No one was fighting or shouting for money, and Northwind provided their services smoothly and efficiently whenever we required it. Of course, we would use, we've had a good experience with Northwind, and when we have to do something similar again, we would certainly come to Northwind to ask for their help and advice.